sister said, and man, he has appeared on the Breakfast Club and other shows, Roland Martin. This brother here keeps it real. Our show is called Keeping It Real. And without a doubt, this brother here keeps it real. So Shreveport Bolger, get ready. He's on the line, the man himself, none other than the clinical psychologist himself, Dr. Johnson.
The revolutionary.
Curtis brother, the revolutionary is on the line.
How you doing, brothers, today?
Indeed. Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on the show. Glad to be with you.
I want the brothers in Angola prison to know that I'm giving it up for them, because everybody said, look, let that brother know how important his words are. No matter how controversial or negatively some people might try to depict Dr. Johnson, let him know that he is a life-giving resource for our community, and he seems to understand and give credence to the deplorable situation of black boys in the United States of America as we're getting trapped inside of the mazes of white supremacy. So Dr. Johnson is my co-host, and she just loves you to death. So I'm going to turn the show over to her, baby.
I love him to death. Dr. Umar, you know, I just left your Family First festival in Delaware, where I totally fell in love. I thought I died and went to heaven with what you're doing with the school there. Just let the audience know in Shreveport what to expect when you land for the first time on the grounds of Shreveport, Louisiana, January the 30th.
Yes, ma'am. Well, quickly, as it relates to the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy, that was a crusade that began more than 7 years ago in 2014. When we found out the HBCU, St. Paul's College in Lawrenceville, Virginia, was going up for sale, and they wanted $2 million for it. So we tried to raise the money to buy the college to prevent it from being sold, but we were unsuccessful. And so we then decided that we just wanted to focus on getting a regular school building that we could use for the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. And so in 2019, 5 years later, Black History Month of 2019, we were lucky to come across the two buildings that we now own, former Black-ran charter schools. And we've been renovating them for the past 3 years. And God willing, when we have our second annual FDMG festival on Saturday, September the 10th of 2022, and we want to invite all of Louisiana, all of Shreveport, Lafayette, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, everybody. We want the whole Louisiana family to come to Wilmington, Delaware, and celebrate with us when we have our second annual festival on September the 10th. But with that being said, my purpose for coming to Shreveport is to wake up the sleeping consciousness of black parents in particular and black people overall. There is without question a psychoacademic holocaust taking place against black children in the state of Louisiana. Special education is a weapon of mass destruction. ADHD is a weapon of mass destruction. Conduct disorder, the learning disability, the emotional disturbance, the intellectual disability, they are all weapons of mass destruction. And the medication that comes with those misdiagnoses, the Ritalin, the Adderall, the Concerta, the Cycler, the Metadate, those are also weapons of mass destruction. And so I want to wake up parents to the responsibilities that they have to do a better job of protecting our children. Too many black parents in Louisiana and around the country are rushing and pushing and fighting for their children to be inducted into special ed, not understanding that special education is the school to prison pipeline. Special education is the separate but equal that allows black kids to receive a separate substandard education. And we need our parents to understand that if you're trying to prepare black children for success, the last place you want them is in a special education classroom.
Dr. Umar, I wanted to say this. I've often heard you say that undisciplined parents cannot raise disciplined children. Right now, Shreveport, Louisiana is considered the most dangerous city in the United States of America. We just went over our historical number of homicides here, and it seems like that our leaders are at a loss for what's going on. Pastor Mays has been in the streets. This is my co-host. He's working with the children. He's trying to make a difference, but it's it's such a strong slave mentality in this city. What can we do to save our children? And I want you to speak directly to Pastor Mays, because he has the wherewithal to implement whatever it is that you might want to give us as a prescription against this homicidal mania that's going on in our city.
Well, the thing is, the mother of all violence is miseducation, and the father of all violence is economic castration. Our elected officials are not at a loss as to what to do about black-on-black fratricide. They're not at a loss. The problem is they do not want to fix the schools. They do not want to put the trade programs back into the high schools. They don't want to put the black men into the school that black boys need. They don't want to create the jobs, and they don't want to fund the small businesses and create the entrepreneurial opportunities that black men and black women need. They know exactly how to stop this. You have to fix education, and you have to create economic opportunities, which is why whenever you hear conversations about black-on-black crime, they only talk about two things: more police and more jails. They never talk about schools. They never talk about economics. They understand that all this was created. Right. Go ahead, Pastor.
More opportunity for the oppressor. I mean, those extra hours, that time and a half that they getting, and it's all seems like it's in the best interest of law enforcement for crime to continue to rise. And I've been trying to get the city council and the leaders of the city to understand that we want to imagine a law enforcement apparatus that works to put itself out of business.
And Dr. Umar, we just recently, before I pass it on to Barbara again, we just recently passed Proposition 1, giving the police department $63 million to put more officers on the ground here in Shreveport, Louisiana. And man, it's just a disgrace. People don't know what to do. That's why we are so glad that you come into town, because we even have in our city, and I know you speak truth. I've been speaking it for 26 years doing community advocacy work. The bottom line is that you have people here that want to make sure, some of them look like us that are politicians, they want to maintain the maintenance and the control of white supremacy and white domination, even though we are chocolate city. Speak to that for
Well, here's the situation. All predominantly black cities, or even if the city is not predominantly black, all black communities are held in check by the black bourgeoisie. It is the gatekeepers. It is the gatekeepers that the white power structure uses to control black political activity. The reason why you haven't had, or we haven't had, a major movement in this country by black people since Dr. King's death is because the black bourgeoisie that the white power structure has put in the black community, their job is to make sure there never is a black movement to change anything. There's 5 major problems in black America, 5 of them. There's not a black mayor, there's not a governor, there's not the president, there's not a congressman, there's not a senator. Nobody is addressing the 5 major problems. They are miseducation, mass incarceration, gentrification, police genocide, and economic apartheid. Nobody's dealing with those 5 problems. When you listen to Joe Biden, he doesn't deal with them. Vice President Kamala Harris doesn't deal with it. I'm willing to bet there's not a black elected official in Louisiana that's dealing with it, because most black elected officials are Democrats. And the Democratic Party is a white racist political party, just like the Republican Party is. And so when you are a black Democrat, you have to do what you are told. And part of doing what you're told is not standing up for black people.
Dr. Umar Johnson, man, he's speaking truth in Shreveport, Louisiana. So what we are working to do right now is treat crime as a social disease. We need psychiatrists, psychologists, doctors who have studied and learned the science of helping people to help us help our people. This is not just about making money for the black bourgeoisie. This is not just about making money for those who are in the civil class, the law enforcement, to get extra hours. We want to save our children. Can you give us the antidote, brother?
Well, here's the thing. When we talk about solving the problems of black people, we have to be clear that there's two major stumbling blocks to doing that. After the bourgeoisie, so the bourgeoisie, the gatekeepers, their main job is to keep black people disorganized and dysfunctional. And to the extent you can keep black people disorganized and dysfunctional, but yet deliver their votes on election day. Let me say that again. White America needs black America to stay disorganized and dysfunctional, but they need us to show up on election day to make sure that they can exploit the black vote for the white agenda. And so with that being said, we need to also understand that within the black community, we have black folks who don't believe we can do anything without white folks. And that's another problem that we have. Half the people who claim they want to help black people are in love with white folks, white money, white institutions, white women, white Jesus, and everything else. And when I say white Jesus, I'm not talking about the black church. I'm talking about black churches that still have white Jesus inside of the black church. So it's hard to solve a problem when the people who think they want to solve the problem are only looking for approval from their oppressors. So you have to find black folks who are willing to stand up for black people and speak out for black people and not feel uncomfortable when you let the world know that your priority is black people. You wish everybody else well, but your priority is black people, because we do a good job of speaking up for every other group. None of those groups do a good job of speaking up for us.
That's right. Yeah, we have Dr.UMAR Johnson on the line, man.
Today.
You guys that just
Doctor, we are so thankful.
Just came in. Talk to him, Barbara.
Yes, sir. So, Dr. UMAR, I started reading your book, Black Parent Advocate. And I like the part that you talk about black parents need to always make it mandatory to go and look into their children's files. What I found, because I did it, was that a lot of information is being left out, and you can see it's being strategically left out. For instance, the referral forms that teachers write on students. How is it that as a parent we can get our hands on some of that information when we want to bring some kind of criminal action against an educator who has done something criminal to a child or to a student?
Well, the first thing is black parents have to do a better job of keeping documentation. I've been helping black parents for almost 25 years now, and the biggest stumbling block to helping our parents is we don't know what's going on with our children. Parents with children in special ed don't know the disability. They don't know when the child was evaluated. They don't know when the last time there was an IEP meeting. They don't even know the name of the teachers sometimes. When they're dealing with disciplinary situations that can lead to expulsion or suspension, their children are not telling them the whole truth. So when they go to the school to try to advocate for their child, they end up looking foolish because the child didn't tell them the truth. So I tell parents, the first thing you got to do is make sure you're getting everything you need to know from your child, because you can't go up there fighting for your kid, find out they didn't tell you everything. You know, so parents have to do a better job. We're not organized. Our paperwork is not together. We don't keep good notes. That's probably the biggest problem. We do not keep good notes. Black parents don't prioritize documenting their child's academic experience. Every time you have a conversation with a teacher or a principal, you need to write down what that conversation was, detailed what it was, because you don't know when you may have to call upon that information.
Dr. UMAR, I'm a former educator myself. I'm all of that. I'm 100. But when I pull the files are missing documentation that the school wrote. You see what I'm saying? In the form of a referral. So as a parent, I don't have the luxury to get that referral once that teacher writes it, because they're saying the referral is not a part of that student's file.
Well, two thoughts on that. Number one, even if the referral is not in the child's file, the FERPA law, Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act of 1974, it gives parents a right to a complete copy of everything in the school with their child's name on it. So even if the referral is not in the file, if the referral exists in that building somewhere, even if it's in the teacher's office drawer. The parent has a right to it. They have to produce it. That's federal law. I've never been to Shreveport. I've been to Louisiana multiple times. I've been to Lafayette. I've been to Baton Rouge to speak, but I've never been to Shreveport. So I'm looking forward to it. Most of the first-time experiences I've had with our people across the country and across the world, for that matter, they have all been memorable. And so I'll be in DeSoto, Texas the day before, which is also a first-time event. I've never been to DeSoto, Texas before either. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to meeting the new family, meeting new parents, meeting the activists, the organizers, the young people, the elders, a little bit of everybody. I just want to raise the consciousness. I want to make sure parents have some information that motivates them to do a better job, and I'm just hoping I can motivate the whole community to come together and do a better job of protecting and safeguarding the future of our people, because nobody's going to save black people except black people. We keep on waiting for the government. We keep on waiting for God. We're waiting for Jesus. Nobody's coming to save us. We have to do the work. And the minute we admit that we are responsible, because let's be honest, we allowed the white power structure to put us in this situation. Nobody told black people to sit by for 8 years and let Barack Obama take everything our ancestors marched and died for and give it to every other group while he stripped us of the rights ourselves. Nobody told us to worship him while he was doing nothing for black people. We chose to do that, and we're suffering for it now. Everything black America is going through is the aftershock of letting Barack Obama ignore us for an entire decade. This is our fault.
My Lord. My Lord. Well, Dr. Umar, we want you to just briefly let our listening audience know, the broad listening audience know, you're an author of different books.
The Black Parent.
We want you just to speak on some of the books that they can get while they are here, while you are here in town, because we got so many people asking about your books. How many books have you actually wrote? And then for those bourgeoisie Negroes, tell them your qualifications as a clinical psychologist.
Yes, my doctorate is in clinical psychology. I have 3 master's degrees: clinical psychology, school psychology, and educational leadership. I'm a certified school principal as well. And undergrad, I went to Millersville University in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. My principal work was Lehigh University in Bethlehem, PA, and my doctorate was Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine. I'm probably the most influential and well-known black school psychologist in the country. So, I mean, the work kind of speaks for itself. There's no black psychologist who does what I do to help parents save their children. I don't know of anybody who does what I do. And at some point, I probably need to come back to Louisiana and offer my 12-hour Black Parent Know Your School Rights Boot Camp, which is a 12-hour training that I do. It's not a lecture. It's a training with paperwork, lots of paperwork, where I teach parents everything they need to know from A to Z in order to protect their children. So we get started at 8 and we go till 8. That's why we call it a boot camp. And we go over all the disabilities. We go over IEP. We go over the 504. We go over autism, the learning disability, blindness, the speech and language impairment. We go over the Civil Rights Amendments, the Civil Rights Bill. We go over Title I. We go over letter writing. We go over behavior modification, functional behavioral assessments, ADHD, conduct disorder, what they are not, how to rule them out, how to request an independent evaluation when you don't agree with what the school does. And that's a real important right that black parents need to know that they have, and that is the right to, number one, say no. So when the school says we want him tested for ADHD or we want him on medicine, you have a right to say no, thank you. And then even if you get the child evaluated, if you don't agree with the diagnosis, you have a right to a second opinion. It's called the independent educational evaluation. And all you have to do is write a letter to your child's principal saying you don't agree with the evaluation, and I'm requesting an independent educational evaluation, which is my federal and state right to get a second opinion by a psychologist of your choice, and the school district has to pay for it.